whatever your end goal is, try and understand in that path of getting there, who does it affect? How does it affect them? What are some of the pros and cons in each of those areas? You have to take yourself out of your role, I think. Because a lot of people look at problems and they tend to naturally think about what the best solution is from their perspective. I think that if you're looking to truly be efficient and to truly be able to keep the needs of different parties in mind, you have to be as objective as you can.
Welcome everyone. I'm your host, Chantal Broderick, and thank you for joining me for a special edition of the Fitness Business Podcast. You're listening to the Motionsoft Technology Series with interviews featuring speakers from the 2018 Motionsoft Technology Summit. Today's special guest is the Director of Member Services for Crunch Fitness, Candace Sweatt. During my interview with Candace, we discussed leveraging technology for solutions across every area of the business. Candace shares some of the common challenges that she has seen within the fitness industry. We discuss ways that businesses can streamline their efficiencies via the implementation of technology, and Candace leaves us with tips for fitness businesses to use technology in their business operations. Enjoy today's interview with Candace Sweatt. A very warm welcome to our special guest today. Candace, welcome. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now, we're talking today about leveraging technology for solutions across every area of the business, from customer experience to internal operations. And I was reading your bio, and in your bio, you said that you love finding solutions to challenges. So how about we start today? Perhaps you could share some of the common challenges that you have seen in fitness businesses.
Sure. I mean, I would say from, probably an operational perspective, a lot of times there's challenges with operational efficiency, even for businesses that do a good job of it. We all know that the fitness industry is constantly evolving, and being able to ensure that your procedures and your processes evolve with your business. So even if you do have something, you may have a great solution in place, but if you're changing your, a major software application, those solutions may not be as efficient as they were, at one time. So you do have to constantly evolve with the business. And I think that can be challenging, because it's not just from a perspective of what applications you use or what technology you use or what processes you have. It's also thinking about what you're offering your members, what your members want, how you can best serve them. And that changes over time as well.
Well, you know what? You and I, when we first met, and I should just bring everyone up to speed, because we first met at the Motionsoft Technology Summit 2018. And this was one of the first things that we were really talking about, because you have a huge amount of experience in this area. So before we move into that next question, perhaps you can give us everyone a little bit of background, because you have gone through with different businesses looking at streamlining the operations and merging technology. So can you maybe give us a little bit of an insight into your experience specifically in this area?
Sure. I've been fortunate enough to work across different areas of the business. I've been on the front end and servicing the members, and also worked in multiple different capacities to be able to support the business in different ways in different departments. And being able to have that experience really gave me a pretty holistic view of the business as a whole, regardless of the company that I worked for, and made me think of what the end user sees, regardless of where that end user is, and also to consider how many different places in the business one decision or one new operation can affect. So I always did try to keep that in mind, whether it was rolling out an operational procedure as part of a corporate team that did that, whether it was streamlining a process that was related to an application, or just streamlining a business process and how, we dealt with members on a day-to-day basis within a specific realm. I also did work a lot with revamping websites, making sure there was a heavy focus on making sure that the sites were easy to navigate, that we were able to give members what they were looking for from a service capacity, because I think that is something that does make most member-based fitness companies, makes their websites a little bit more complex. Because I think that if you talk to a lot of digital marketing companies or people from outside of the industry that help us with some of these things that we do, they look at us as retail. And to an extent, yes, we are a retail business, but our difference is that particularly from a digital solution or a digital perspective, yes, you have people coming to that site for, because you want them to join or you want them to take advantage of whatever your offer is. But you also have people that continuously come to that site and rely on it for a multitude of reasons, because they're members and they want to stay, up to date on their account, because they're members and they want to register for their favorite spin class every week. So, there's two different audiences, and you have to find a way to be able to balance that experience so that it's efficient and, like I said, seamless for the people that are using it.
Candace, given how much experience you have in that area, I'm hoping you can help us understand how a club owner or a club manager, for example, can really identify the challenges that they have within their business. And perhaps you can recommend any methods that we can use to review or kind of analyze that area.
Sure. I mean, I think one of a best practice, I guess you could say that it has been, fortunate enough has worked for me, is objective observation. And when I say objective observation, I mean really being able to step back and try and take in the whole view. I talked a little bit before about understanding that, one new process or one decision can affect multiple areas of your business. I mean, from your employees to your members. So trying to keep those things in mind with whatever your whatever your end goal is, try and understand in that path of getting there, who does it affect? How does it affect them? What are some of the pros and cons in each of those areas? You have to take yourself out of your role, I think, because a lot of people look at problems and they tend to naturally think about what the best solution is from their perspective. Mm. I think that if you're looking to truly be efficient and to truly be able to keep the needs of different parties in mind, you have to be as objective as you can. Another part of that, I think, is leveraging feedback. And that can be feedback from the customer end. It can also be feedback from the employee end on the people who are actually living and breathing these things every day.
When you say, I love, first of all, that objective observation, that concept behind that, can you give us an example when you talk about making one decision that can affect multiple parts of the business? What's an example of that we can all relate to?
Sure. I think a pretty standard example would be rolling out a new product. So rolling out a new product can be, it's something that will kind of give life into your business because it's something new and it's something maybe that your members have been asking for and you're excited about it. It could be let's say it could be a new type of membership that bills a different way. Maybe you bill monthly and this membership wants to, we want to bill weekly on this membership. It's just a simple example, but it can affect different parts of the business. So one, it affects your members, and you're going to want to think about, is this something that, my members and my customers are really going to take to? It's going to affect your front end staff because you need to make sure that they're, comfortable explaining the different terms and what may be included in this new product that you're rolling out. You have to think of, from an application perspective, you're always going to have to think about how this gets configured in whatever, member management system you're using. Can you leverage your software to be able to, give you the results you're looking for from a billing cycle perspective, from setting it up to be able to understand if everything, whatever may be a component of this offer. You have to think of your accounting team and how that data comes across and how they're able to interpret it and to properly account for whatever it is that you're selling. And you have to think of your reporting team. How are you going to report on this? How is this going to show in your data? What should it count for? What does it reflect as? What data points are you going to track? And going back to configuration, if you want to track specific data points, you need to make sure that you can track them.
I'm going to guess that we have a lot of people listening right now that are probably nodding their heads because they have probably been in a situation where a decision has been made by one department and perhaps it hasn't, aligned with another department, or they haven't had that 360-degree view that you're talking about. So I think this is probably an area that a lot of people will be able to relate to. So I think it's important that we now explore, I guess, some solutions, because once you've gone through that process of doing the objective observation, you've leveraged feedback from your customers and your internal candidates. In your experience, what are some of the ways that a fitness business can actually start to streamline these processes and their efficiencies, and how can they utilize technology to do that?
So I think with a fitness business, or I think with any business actually, if you're looking to streamline your processes, I think you need to understand, you need to first ask yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? What is it that you want your end result to be? Are you getting your end result today? I think if you understand those points, you can then kind of, in a bit of a way, you can work backwards. You can see what you're doing now. You can take into account that objective observation I was speaking of previously. But you can also, from there, say, okay, so if I know I want this outcome, but I have to do 7 things to do that, do I really need to do those 7 things? What is the purpose of those 7 things? And sometimes you can find that you may have extra steps in there because you always did it that way, but maybe not necessary. And then going back to being able to leverage your technology or your software, I think a lot of us are, now moving to SaaS services. So we're moving away from having things that are custom built to what our business is. And that means that you're going to have to find a middle ground between what your business is, what you're looking for as a business, and also what your capabilities are from a technological point of view. Unfortunately, we're not always going to have the perfect solution. In some cases, it does work out, but a lot of times you're going to have to be able to find that balance. So it's very important to understand what your technology is capable of, because at the end of the day, you may only be seeing the tip of the iceberg. The applications that you have and that you're using, you may be using 20% of what the capability is. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to use all of it, but you should investigate and understand what your applications are capable of to see if you can leverage them in different ways.
Candace, one of the things that I've noticed throughout our conversation today, that I guess 2 words that keep popping up into my head, is project management. Because I feel like so much of this streamlining process and the efficiency comes back to project management. From your experience, are there any tips that you can share with us that you'd recommend to help project manage when we're trying to improve efficiency or streamline our business?
Yeah, I think, like I kind of said, when you're evaluating your processes and seeing how you can leverage technology, the same applies to project management. Understanding the why do we want to do what we say we want to do? And I think that, and also from a project management perspective, having that objective view is definitely helpful. Trying to understand what may affect different departments or what may affect other areas of the business, because sometimes people don't always, obviously, not everyone thinks of everything, especially when you have people that are, living these things day to day. There are things that they can take for granted, but if someone's looking at it from a project management perspective, it is a good idea to even, to ask what may seem to be like simple questions about what their processes are, to be able to really understand what it is that they would need to get out of something new.
Candace, I'd like to finish off today on a few tips around technology. So maybe you can leave us with 3 tips for fitness businesses to actually use technology in their business operations.
Sure. I mean, I think a very honest and straightforward question to consider, first of all, is will technology simplify my process, or is it going to complicate it? Because there are some times where it's, there is an easier way to do things. You don't always have to make something high tech or, something so involved where it gets overly complicated and then no one's having fun with it. I think it is always important to keep in mind, is this the best solution? And if it is, again, I know I've said this throughout the conversation, but I'll say it again, that objective evaluation, really being able to step back and objectively view what your challenge is and think about your possible solutions.
I can see why that's so important. And I guess everything that I'm thinking about that we've just talked about comes back to one central point with me, and that is just how important it is that when we're working with a business that has multiple departments, which most of them do, or a business that has a number of different managers looking after different departments, that it is just so essential that we keep coming back to that observational view that you talk about, and just making sure that you are considering, no matter what decision you're making for the business, considering all of the possible implications and all the components that might be affected by that decision or by that introduction of technology or whatever it might be. Does that sound like a fair kind of wrap of what we've talked about?
Absolutely.
Excellent. Well, Candace, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really interesting talking about leveraging technology solutions within our businesses. So thank you so much for joining us on the Fitness Business Podcast.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Join fitness industry peers from around the globe at the 6th Annual Motionsoft Technology Summit in Washington, D.C. You'll learn how the most successful operators in the fitness industry have implemented technology solutions and tools to improve operations, increase productivity, and exceed member expectations. Visit MotionsoftTechnologySummit.com today to register for the 2019 Motionsoft Technology Summit. Thank you for joining me for the Motionsoft Technology Series. A reminder that you can find show notes and contact details for Candace all at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. And on that very same page, you'll also find a direct link to the 2019 Motionsoft Technology Summit website. Thank you again for joining me today. And remember, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.